on behalf of the Prime Minister, met with the Ombudsman, who presented the year report of 2016. We just got a report yesterday, so we didn't really get a chance to look at it. I took a peep at what the report said for the Justice Ministry, and I can say there's a lot of work to be done. It was constructive criticism. As you know, the Ombudsman, the Office of the Ombudsman plays a very, very important role in our community, where citizens who feel themselves disenfranchised, who feel, especially in their relation with government, and feel that they have nowhere to turn, go to the Ombudsman, and the Ombudsman would deal with the cases, would handle the complaints. Also, we know the role that the Ombudsman plays when it comes to judging legislation that is prepared with the Constitution to make sure that we are not in violation with our constitutions. So I guess as we get a chance to go through the report, as I assured the Ombudsman that we would take those recommendations in the report seriously. I also met with the commander of the Marines, Mr. Lauder. As you know, the commanders that are based for the Caribbean area, they only stay for a limited period of time, and so every now and then you have one leaving and one coming. In that presentation, we had the commander that was leaving, and the incoming commander also from the Coast Guard. On behalf of the government of St. Martin, I thank them for their assistance and participation in the region. You know, we are on land, and we have our police, etc., on land doing our business, but there's a lot of activities and law enforcement that take place out at sea, and it is the Coast Guard who is responsible for that. I would like to, also presently in the area of cooperation with the countries in the kingdom, and especially the Caribbean part of the kingdom, I would announce that presently the meetings of the chiefs of police is taking place and being hosted by our police department on St. Martin, and the meetings of the prison chiefs is taking place, if I'm not mistaken, on Curacao, and our prison directors are attending. This afternoon, I will be holding a meeting with all the department heads in the Ministry of Justice, and the main point on the agenda would be personnel matters. I have installed a task force on personnel matters from the folks. Every department have issues. There are court cases left and right. There are people who for years are waiting just on a resolution, etc., and it's about time we get that fixed. So hopefully the next time, well, not next week, but soon, I'll be able to tell you that the personnel issues in the Ministry of Justice is something of the past. And in concluding, I would like to join my colleague, Minister Jacobs, in wishing the Lions Club International and the Lions Club on both Dutch and French St. Martin a big congratulations with the 100-year celebration of the Lions Club International. I'm a bit biased in this because I'm also a member of the Lions Club. So guys, keep up the good work, and God bless you all. Thank you.
The Moody's report is out. It has been published, and St. Martin has been rated. As you know, the Moody's report is a tool for international investors and others to be able to evaluate the obligations that St. Martin have or a country have and its credit worthiness. The ratings that we received from Moody is the same ratings that we got the year before, which is a Baa2 rating. The Baa2 rating really states that as far as St. Martin is concerned, that St. Martin's obligations are judged to be medium risk and moderate, subject to moderate risk. Baa2 falls in the categories of ratings of BAA, and all of those categories are judged to have a medium grade rating, and as far as its credit is concerned, rated to be moderate. For example, if you take the Bahamas has a rating equal to that of St. Martin. They too is considered, as far as their obligations are concerned, to be medium risk and medium grade. A country such as Barbados enjoys a rating of CAA2. Such a rating says that their obligations are low grade and credit risk for the country of Barbados is high risk. Cayman Islands also enjoys the same rating that St. Martin enjoys. The difference between the Bahamas, Cayman Islands, and St. Martin in terms of their grading is that both those countries have a financial sector in addition to their tourist section. St. Martin economy is only predominantly based on tourism. Notwithstanding that, the economy of St. Martin is rated to be of low strength compared to Cayman Islands, whose economy is rated to be of high strength. The question would be is if we had a developed financial sector, if we too would not be able to meet be graded in the same manner. For further insight as far as this is concerned, and as you'll find in the Moody's report, the GDP per capita income of St. Martin is $28,241. This is, for all of the BAA rating countries in that category, represents an income, a per capita income, that's 3 times the amount of all the peers in the BAA rating group. 3 times. The median in the BAA grading group is 9,552, and St. Martin income per capita is 28,241. The Cayman Islands per capita income is twice that of St. Martin. It ranges up to $56,414. So they have their tourism, and they got a financial sector, and together it produces a per capita income that's much higher than we have. Noteworthy is the fact that in the Moody's report, mention is made of the ability and the resilience that St. Martin have to bounce back from natural disasters. A comparison is given with Grenada, where a storm developed there, a category 3 hurricane, passed over Grenada, did its damage. That storm went on to the Cayman Islands. became a Category 5 storm and did its damage in the Cayman Islands. The budget of Grenada, of course, exploded. Exploded in the sense of they no longer could have met their obligations. It took them more than a year before they can get back online. Cayman Islands, the damage that same hurricane caused at Cayman Islands, while it was a Category 5 storm and in Grenada was a Category 3 storm, had no effect whatsoever on Cayman Islands' ability to meet its obligations. Mention is made that St. Martin too has had experiences in the past with natural disasters. They refer specifically to Gonzales and the ability of St. Martin within 2 weeks' time to recover completely from the damages it caused. All in all, the report is positive, especially in light of the fact, when note is taken, as mentioned in the report, that compared to 2015, between January and June, 2015 compared to 2016, January to June, last year we had a drop of 17% of cruise tourism. That is quite an impact, but notwithstanding that, we were able to present a balanced budget and stay in line with what is required. Mention is also made in the report that given the situation that we're in, that basically expansion possibilities, because we have an economic growth that is lower than the region. Our projected economic growth is 0.5%. Everywhere else in the region, it's higher than we have. Again, we don't have a financial sector. They do. And that the only possibility that we have, or basically the concentration in terms of expansion and improving our economic growth, has to be in tourism. Mention in May, because of our smallness, we have one of the smallest economies in the world as a sovereign or semi-sovereign country. That one major project could have a significant impact in improving our GDP and improving the performance of our economy. It is also for that reason that we're doing all we can to see if we can get, amongst others, the Pearl of China off the ground, because that will be the major project that even Moody's says will have a very positive economic impact on St. Martin. I also want to mention that I've been to Trinidad and Tobago and attended, at the request of the Minister of Justice, the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force conference. This conference was an eye-opener in the sense of that there are only two countries in the region that is not living up to their responsibilities and getting the infrastructure, legal infrastructure, in place as is required by the CFATF, and that is St. Vincent, and I'm sorry to say St. Martin. From 2012, the progress that they said St. Martin has been made in is unacceptable. And as a result, we have been sanctioned. Sanctioned, the first step, by deciding that a high-level mission, which we will have to pay for, will be visiting St. Martin. Efforts is on the way to try to avoid that high-level mission, because we managed to get them to agree that if we could show substantial progress between now and September, that they will entertain a request from us to call off the high-level mission. That has prompted a series of activities here to be able to meet that deadline. All noses are pointed in the same direction. All parties involved, which are quite a few, includes the Council of Ministers, it includes Parliament, it includes the Legal Department, it includes the Council of Advice, Ministry of Justice. All, right now, are with the noses pointed in the same direction to make certain that we comply. And the importance of that is that de-risking and correspondent banking is directly related to the legal infrastructure that the entire Caribbean can put together to avoid money laundering and terrorist financing. That's the aim. And you will continue to have de-risking problems and correspondent bank problems if this infrastructure, as dictated and prescribed by the CFATF, is not put in place the way it should. I also like to mention that yesterday the Council of Ministers passed the 2018 budget. The numbers part of the budget, as you know, it consists of two parts, the numbers budget and the policy description. The policy description is hopefully will be ready in the next 3 weeks. With the passing of the budget yesterday, as far as the numbers are concerned, and the policy section of it at the end of this month, it could go into the pipeline to be able to get to Parliament for the 1st of September. It was not easy, and there's a lot of ministries that are not happy. Why? We don't and we're not producing sufficient revenues to cover the needs of all ministries. It's the same situation we've had before. And efforts are also being made to increase revenues. And the message is, it can't be business as usual. Especially as far as government-owned companies are concerned, it is time that you contribute your share. We cannot think about investments and investments that government-owned companies need, and they have to do this and have to do this, and no or very little or less attention is given to education, to sickness and accident, to all the other concerns and problems that government is confronted with to be able to render proper service to our community. Has to change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Gibson, for your opening presentation. If you're just joining us, you're viewing the Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, June 7th, 2017. I open the floor now for questions the media might have. Bibi Haj Shah, SMN News Online. Good morning. You have the floor.
Good morning, Cedric. Good morning, ministers. Minister Jacob, I saw the smile. I saw how proud you looked when not only yourself, but Minister Boseman announced about the Chefs of the Caribbean and what the students of NEPA has achieved or what they went to do. You also mentioned the statement made by the board. Just to let you know, the students of NEPA, they protested this morning. They made their statements. They condemned the report, saying that it was total lie. That was not what was told to them on Thursday. And knowing that you yourself is an educator, do you believe that students should live under threat or fear, or they should be given the best education possible on St. Martin?
Good morning. Yes, I am quite proud of the achievements of students on St. Martin on the whole. And As a Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, there are many duties that fall under me. Several of them I'm directly involved with the schools, specifically public education, but all of the other schools we subsidize. So I'm not directly involved. However, the ministry has certain departments that have their roles to play in this. The role of the inspection and the education department is quite clear in the reporting that has to come from all subsidized school boards, including the AVE school board, which runs NEPA. They have been inspected as all the other schools. I have been receiving regular reports. It is not the same as in the past when it seemed as if no one knew what was going on at NEPA. That's why I do not like when old situations are thrown into the new situation. The situation that is currently going on at NEPA stemmed from HR situations, not student-related situations, not students coming forward with complaints neither to the management, as far as I know, nor to me in writing, for sure not, nor to anywhere else. The only place I've seen the complaints is in the blogs, to be honest, from that venue. Now, the labor issues, as I explained before, if you have a contract by law, and your contract states that your contract ends, you can ask the legal people on that, and I guess maybe the Minister of Labor can explain that better, but from what I've been made to understand, there's a time and a place to discuss renewal of contract or not. But if your contract states that if there's no discussion of renewal or there's no agreement for your renewal, then it ends, it ends. I do not understand this trend we have of taking personnel issues from different institutions and bringing them as media tidbits. Each of these situations has a repercussion not only on the individuals' names who are mentioned, but on the institution itself. Now, the goal of this institution, as far as I know, is to provide opportunity for second chance learners, for the vocational learners who come from both the academic, St. Martin Academy, PSVE, Sundial, and MPC. Two of these institutions, or both of these institutions, VOBA and FAVE, have representatives on the board. The Chamber of Commerce has 2 representatives on the board. My ministry has 1, Ministry of VSA has 1, and there's supposed to also be 1 from the Chamber of Labor Unions. Currently, there are 6, so the Chamber of Labor Unions did not reappoint a new member. The last member resigned. Circumstances surrounding HR issues, as I stated in my opening statement, I will not be getting into. I do not see how students become involved in HR issues relating to management. So that is something I have sent the inspectorate to inspect. I have heard that there would be actions this morning. I have not heard any reports of what these actions were. So until I get a report on that, I am not going to comment on that. But the interest of continued education remains the focus, and remains the focus of the ministry in sending inspection to check what is what. That is within my purview to do. As the other stakeholders who have appointed members on the board, if they see it fit, or if we see it fit to meet with the board as such, I can also call the board. But seeing the type of allegations that are being made, I will have to weigh whether it will be me standing alone or all the stakeholders who have appointed board members. I have a duty as minister where education is concerned, and to date that has not been reported that that is an issue at the institution. The students continue to do their work. Teachers who have been hired are working, so if there is some kind of strike, that's news to me. I've heard rumors, but if we live by the rumors on St. Martin, but of course where there's smoke, there's always fire. I would just like for us to remain focused on the positives. When I mentioned here in press briefing that things were going well, that didn't make the front page. When the students are doing well out there, that hardly makes the front page. But these types of allegations that anybody can run to a paper, a blog, make statements, and that's printed as fact, is something that we need to really, as I guess the readers, analyze and see what is fact and what is fiction. So every story has 3 sides, they said. I am waiting to see what the exact allegations are. The board has sent in a request that if an investigation needs to happen, they're ready for that. So they have documentation, according to them, to collaborate all the decisions they have taken as a board. I trust my representative on the board. Spoken with Minister Lee, he has a representative on the board as well. I have not spoken to the other representatives, so I cannot speak for them, but I have asked the inspection, yes, to do another inspection to see if there is something, the quality of education in my responsibility as minister for me to be aware of and to take any necessary steps as we subsidize NIPA. We have several agreements with NIPA moving forward, including some new programs that they're about to start, needs to come to the department to be ratified and approved. So, you know, they just had an open house. All the negativity is being created by a few people. If there are truth behind those allegations, they will have to be investigated. But I do not believe it should be tried in the media.
Thank you, Minister, for taking the question, even though you said you wouldn't. Minister Emmanuel, recently I got information that the gentleman that have a lease, a property leased in St. Peter's, that is doing agriculture, he has some foreign investors, lots of youngsters working, doing farming up there, selling fresh food. He's complaining of not getting light. I was made to understand that you have taken a decision to revoke his lease, or not renew his lease, by the way. Can you give me the grounds on which you have decided not to renew the lease for someone that is doing culture and having lots of youths working on that plot?
No. Can you give me the grounds? What's a lot of youngsters? What's a lot of youngsters? How many are you talking about? And who are you talking about? But I know is Denisha Wyatt that you're talking about. What grounds are you talking about?
Lots that he was given, lease lots that he is doing for agriculture.
A management contract to lease the land for 3 years. That is expiring now. It's the prerogative of government whether to extend it or not. But if you're so aware and in tune with the information as to why the lease wasn't extended, why didn't he give you that information? Because it was all sent in a letter to him. So exactly, how many youngsters are you talking about that he have there working, and who are these investors? And why is it that he doesn't have light and water? Those are the questions you should be asking him, not me.
Minister, based on what I understood, he applied for that, and that process was delayed until he was even given.
The process was delayed?
Yes, he
by
never
whom?
got. I don't know.
You don't apply for water and electricity by the Ministry of Rummy. You apply for water and electricity at GEBE.
He did that there.
And what happened?
Never got it.
But that's not my responsibility. That's the responsibility of GEBE.
Okay. And you will not say why, on what reason the decision was taken not to renew the lease?
I can say why, but I choose not to at this moment.
Let's proceed, please. Next question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I turn to Minister Lee. Minister Lee, you had the opportunity to attend, I don't know how many days, but a conference in Aruba that you spoke about at length and gave a lot of information. Agreements were signed. You also had the Van Kemenaar report, and you've had all reports from our inspectorate on St. Martin. What's your view now with how proper health care should be provided on St. Martin, and that medical institutions such as SMMC comply with the law?
I'm not sure if I understand your question, but I'll take parts of it. Everybody has to adhere to the law. All healthcare institutions have to adhere to the law. The ministry have to adhere to the law. So I've never said that anyone should get a pass in terms of adhering to the law. You speak about, the coordination. Look, and I said it in my opening. If our healthcare system is going to use the limited funds that are available in St. Martin, we're talking about funds that come out of people's pockets, we're talking about the money that's coming from the health insurance companies, from SZV, there's a limited amount of funds. government's contribution towards healthcare is limited. So we need to make sure that those funds are spent as wisely and as efficiently as possible. So we are looking at the entire healthcare chain. That is about improving quality in terms of all of the specialists, the family doctors. This is about improving the quality of facilities, including the hospital, which you know we're working diligently on. This is about getting stakeholders. Much of the conference spoke about typically why things don't work is a breakdown in communications between different stakeholders. That ultimately, especially on small islands, all the stakeholders need to work together. So there is no room for egos, for combative behavior. Ultimately, everybody needs to find a way to work together. That is one of the key points that came out of the conference. Also, government's role. Government has a facilitating role, right? So how do you get involved in the process, not get consumed in the process, but make sure that everybody's living up to their responsibilities? That's exactly what we're working on. And all of these things feed into each other. The work of the inspectorate, the report from Van Kemenade, these conferences, our cooperation agreements, they're all pointed in the same direction. How do we make our healthcare system more effective and more efficient? You're welcome.